Grace and peace from God our Creator and from the offspring of God's mercy, Jesus, who is also known to us as Christ. Last Sunday, your pastor invariably preached a particularly interesting topic to me, and I thought, why recreate the wheel? And I thought we might return again to the idea of the subject, don't take the dust. In the 10th chapter of the book of Matthew, there is at the 13th verse recorded these words, "And if the house is worthy, let your peace come upon it. But if it is not worthy, let your peace return unto you. If anyone will not welcome you, or will not listen to your words, shake the dust from your feet as you leave the house or that town. And they will not listen to your words," he says, "shake the dust off your feet as you leave that house or town." Take somebody by the hand, if you will, this morning. God, we thank you for the privilege that is ours to declare the mysteries of the gospel of Jesus Christ. We ask now that in the manifold witness of your love, that you might conspire with us today to say something that would affect the lives of your people. We trust and believe you to be God. We know that you are able. So have your way in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Don't take the dust. This passage comes to us out of the 10th chapter of the book of Matthew. It is a part of the long and difficult teachings of Jesus as he struggles to give us some insight into the nature of what it means to live a life well lived, and a life that is presupposed by the unfolding mysteries of the gospel of Jesus Christ. He is, after all, before he is a miracle worker, before he is a water walker, before he is a water to wine changer, he is invariably a teacher. At his core, Jesus is a teacher. He is someone who experiences and someone who seeks to impose the wisdoms of the kingdom of God. How strange it is that one can go to a seminary in this country, graduate with a 4-year Master of Divinity degree, and never truly encounter the teachings of Jesus Christ. Because we have gotten away from his teachings. We have turned Christ into an object of our worship, into a mysterious, soothsaying mystery worker, when at his core he sought to give us principles to live by. And you may look at me this morning with jaundiced eyes, but the reality is all of us need principles to live by. Yes. There are a few of us this morning who can say that if we had had some principles at earlier stages of our lives, we would have avoided decades of trouble. Yes. Thanks be to God that the principles of God come to us when they come to us. There is the old proverb that says, when the student is ready, the teacher will show up. And we are grateful this morning that there is a teacher in the house. There is a teacher in the building. His name is not Nigel Pierce. His name is not Sean Mc Millian. Her name is not Alethea West or Juanita Barr. His name is Jesus, who is Christ. He comes this morning to teach us how to live. He says to them, when you go into a town or a home, if they will not receive you, how kind he is. He is often giving us compliments we don't deserve. He says of the young man, the prodigal son, down in the hall pit, he says, and when he came to himself, it was a compliment. It was to suggest that when he was in the pit, he was not himself. Here, he gives us another compliment. And if they do not receive you, he knows better. He knows that over the long span of our lives, there will be many instances of people who will not receive us. There will always be, over the length and breadth and the nature and the destiny of our days, people who are incapable of receiving what we have to say. There are some people who are offended by the veritable presence that you embody. I would remind you, he says, and if they do not receive you. We ought to change the if to when they do not receive you. There are a few of us in here this morning who can say that we've lived a life devoid of rejection, devoid of being castigated, devoid of being the rejected stone. All of us on some level have come to that dark and terrible place where there was a stutter and a quivering in the soul, where we face the moments where doors are being slammed in our faces and windows slammed on our fingers. But thanks be to God, there is a promise that lives. It rings down and speaks to us today and says, and if they do not receive you, you still have the power to shake the dust off your feet. Slap somebody and say, I know that's right. I submit to you this morning that there are some people who will never like you. There are some people who will never be able to buy into what you embody. And to a certain degree, it is a compliment. Yes. For what does hatred like about love? What does the darkness like about the light? There are some people who are invariably constructed in such a way that they will never be able to receive what you embody and what you represent. And the great challenge of your witness is to shine without their permission. Is to be who God has called you to be, irrespective to their validation or their capacity to give you assent to be it. Amen. I would submit to you this morning that the word of the Lord comes to us. It is a simple principle. It borders on cliche. When he says to us, and if they do not receive you, he is trying to tell us, let them go. Let them go. Yes. I can't get no help in this church. He's saying, let them go. Release them out into the manifold witness that will be theirs without you. Start begging people to hold on to you. Stop begging people to be what they were never meant to be in your life. I submit to you this morning that crying over people who don't care about the fact that you're crying is as silly as we can possibly be, yet the reality is we've all been there. Yes. We've all tried to convince somebody to remain, to stay, to be, to love, to grow, to hug, to talk, to communicate. And yet the reality is it was like speaking Chinese to someone who only speaks German. Touch somebody and say, I know that's right. One of the gifts that I have, people think that one of the gifts that I have is preaching or teaching. I submit to you, that's not my real gift. My real gift is I have the gift of goodbye. Oh, yes. Look at me. Let me tell you something. I will walk away from you and forget your mama had you. Oh, yes. I got the gift of goodbye, and it's not being mean. I'm not mean. I'm really not. I'm not mean. It's not being mean. It is about understanding. It's about accepting the fact that I will not dishonor myself by trying to hold on to you. I will not dishonor myself. I will not do that. How many can say I've been there, done that? Where we have dishonored ourselves and disrespected ourselves, trying to keep people, trying to hold on to things and jobs and situations and cars. Take the car, take the house, take the relationship, as long as I keep my self-respect. One of the great tragedies of this life is that the real offense of any relationship is never really what they say or do to us, but it is the shape-shifting we engage in. It is the contortion of our souls, the manipulation, the kind and cunning and subtle manipulations of our will as we bend and contort ourselves into shapes we were never supposed to be, only to wake up one morning and realize we don't even recognize who we are because we've shifted and reshaped ourselves in ways that are contrary to the core of what God told us we were. Jesus said, shake it off. In the words of Nigel Pierce, don't take the dust. When they slam the door on your face, don't take the dust with you. It is your chance to tell them, if you slam this door on my face, it is the dumbest thing you've ever done in your life. I can't get no help in here. And it's not arrogant. It is a sense to know that you are a gift. You are a gift. And what you have to offer and what you have to bring to people is an offering unto them by God. You are a gift. You do not come into this world empty-handed as an empty pitcher waiting for somebody to come into your life to fill you up. You came here full. Don't take the dust. It means when rejection comes and recrimination rises up, don't take the dust. Don't take their words. Don't take their thoughts. Don't take their psychologies or their ideas. Don't even take the dust from their house with you. Woo! God. Did you hear what I just said to you? Don't even take the dust from their house. That's what he's saying to you. Shake the dust off your feet. Walk out with your head up. Have you ever been fired? Maybe it's just me. You ever been fired and they gave you that little white box and you had to walk through the office and summon the last bit of dignity you had, but you had to walk with your head up? I walked with a smile on my face because I knew the same God that gave me this is the same God that'll give me something else. Don't take the dust with you. The question this morning, and I'm almost done, the question this morning is, how much dust have you collected? How much dust have you collected? If I could go down under the soles of your shoes and look into the cracks and the crevices of the sole and the heel of your shoe, where would the dust come from? How much dust has gathered there? Dust from 10 years ago, relationships, scenarios, situations, rejections, recriminations, heartbreaks, despairing situations, still going with you into your future, carrying the dust with you. Taking things with you should have left long ago. Yes. All of us are guilty with that. All of us have a speck of dust under our heel that we should have kicked off 10 years ago. Amen. I would submit to you this morning that you cannot be what you were and who you are at the same time. Yes. At some moment you have to summon the courage and the ability, we all have to do it, to decide, what shall I be? Who am I? Je suis. Who am I? Who am I? Sometimes, my brothers and sisters, the sad reality is you have to leave people where they tried to kill you. Oh, that's better. That's good. Sometimes you have to leave people where they tried to kill you. You have to leave them right there at the moment of infraction and say, as the old preacher says, ashes to ashes and dust to dust, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away, but blessed be the name of the Lord. Can you clap your hands on that this morning? It is here then that I would submit to you that everybody can't go with you into the next level of your life. And this is what Jesus means to teach us. Everybody can't go. Everybody can't handle it. Everybody can't stand it, because some people who were good for you in the valley will not be good for you on the mountain. Some relationships only make sense in a storm. There's some people God only sent to you for the storm. There's storm relationships, storm scenarios. They were sent into your life to get you through the storm. And when the storm is over, they will no longer make sense. And here we are trying to turn something that was meant to be seasonal into something eternal and wonder why there's no smiles on our faces. Everybody can't go. And nothing is worse, bear witness for me if you will, nothing is worse than to spend your life trying to hold on to something God is trying to separate you from. Yes. Shake the dust off your feet. Black people have done this in this country for 400 years. If we did not have the capacity to have a certain kind of forgetting, we would have killed ourselves a long time ago. We know what it is. We know what it is each morning to rise to meet the day. Each day to tell the forces that may avail themselves against us, I rise with all that is within me. I rise on the shoulders and on the backs of my grandmother and great-grandfather. I rise on the back of Fannie Lou Hamer and Sojourner Truth, and I rise to meet the demands of this day. And come hell or high water, I will be free, and I will be what God has called me to be. We've had to forget just a little. I'm not talking about historical forgetting. I'm talking about a forgetting that is rooted in the shaking of the dust off our feet. How else could we vote Democratic? I can't hear nobody talking to me. The Democratic Party was not the liberal progressive party. It was not that party. Traditionally speaking, black people voted Republican. Martin King was a Republican. His father was a Republican because it was the party of Lincoln, the party of emancipation. The Democrats, they were the Dixiecrats, the strict segregationists. They were the ones who were standing in the way of liberation and freedom. Huh? Now everybody in here, most of y'all are all dead. How did that happen? Because when the situation required it, when the political currents changed, when the pragmatic politics were demanding it, in 64 and 65 when Johnson does the Civil Rights Act and the Civil Rights Bill, we made a pragmatic decision to do what? To kick the dust off our feet. We aligned ourselves with what was in our interest. We decided it better to go into a direction that we had never gone before than to sit in a house that would disrespect us for the rest of our lives. Slap somebody and say, I know that's right. Shake the dust off your feet means that you're ready to move on. You're ready to move on. Shaking the dust off your feet means that you understand that there is life after death. That there is life after death. That there is life after death. It means that you are not afraid to die because there is life after death. And let me remind you, brothers and sisters, that is what this religion is all about. You are not a Christian because you clap. You are not a Christian because you sing. You're not a Christian because you read your Bible or you pay your tithes. You're not a Christian because you wear nice clothes and you come to church on Sunday. You are a Christian because you believe that something dead on Friday can come back to life again on Sunday. That is what defines our faith. We are a people of resurrection. How dare you come in here and believe in resurrection and call Jesus resurrected but do not believe in it in your own life? Ooh, my brother and my sister, I wish you could see you 5 years from now. I wish you could see you 5 days from now. How about 5 hours from now when you shake the phone call and the email and the text message from off your feet and you rise to meet the demands of a destiny that no devil can change because nobody can curse what God has already blessed. I leave you with this, my first close. I get one more. Let me submit to you this morning that change is a compliment. Change is a compliment. Change is a compliment. Change is God's way of saying, you have mastered that. You have mastered that, and you are ready for more. Change is God's way of saying, if you stay here, you have gotten all you're going to get out of it. And if you stay here, you're going to spin your wheels for the rest of your life. So I introduce you to change because you're ready for more. You're ready to graduate. That's why your children change, and your marriages change, and your career, it changes, and your money, it changes. I can't get no help with it this morning. That's why your mind, it changes. Your personality, you're not the same person you were 10 years ago. If you are, see me after church. Changing. On Wednesday night, we talked about the Greek word for woman is the word genomehi. Say genomehi. Say genomehi. And that Greek word for woman, genomehi, means becoming. It means to become. It is because the feminine, the woman is always becoming. She is always evolving and changing and growing and stretching and reaching. That is the nature of the Greek understanding of the feminine power. Genomehi. All of us have that power in us. Whether we are male or female, we have genomehi in us. You're always becoming. Catch me tomorrow, and I'll be bigger than what I am today. Catch me on Wednesday, and I'll be bigger than that. Catch me a year from now, and I'll be too big to fit into your expectation because I am always changing. Slap somebody and say, I know that's right. Oh yes, my brothers and sisters, my second close. You know you're grown when you can look at somebody who tried to kill you emotionally, financially, psychologically, professionally, spiritually. You know you're grown when you can look at somebody and be in their presence, and to yourself in your mind, you can think to yourself, thank you for leaving. Thank you for firing me. Thank you for breaking my heart. Thank you for slamming the door in my face. Thank you. Because if you had stayed, if you had been what I wanted you to be, I would never have become who I am. In some strange way, you have been my teacher. You were my schoolmaster. You whipped me with patience. You taught me resourcefulness. You made me dig in places I didn't even know I had inside of myself. Thank you for coming. But as much as I'm grateful for the fact that you came into my life, I am equally as much grateful that you left. Shaking the dust off your feet means that you trust God. It means that you trust God. Martin Luther said that faith was not belief, but faith was trust. To trust God for more. And I wonder this morning, my last close, this is the last one. I get 3 a week. I wonder this morning if whether or not you really trust God. If the collection of the dust under our feet is an indication that we are holding on because we need a foundation that is more near to us than is the implacable implausibilities of faith. I wonder this morning if we are dust collectors. If we are dust collectors because we can see the dust, we can measure the dust. If need be, we can taste the dust. Calls into question, what is the nature of our trust in God? Do we trust God enough to step out into the darkness? Friedrich Nietzsche said that we had to lean into the dark. My God, imagine each day with no security and no safeguards and no promises to find a soul courageous enough to lean into the dark and to say that I trust God. I know, my brothers and sisters, that it will not be easy. This teaching Jesus gives us is not easy. But how does the tree grow? It does so by the shedding of its leaves. And sometimes you cannot grow until you go. And sometimes we have to wonder how and why we have not become what we always wanted to be. It is because we planted ourselves in places that afford us no water, that give us no sunshine, that will not nurture the best in us. And when you encounter that, Jesus says, shake the dust off your feet. Do not take the dust. Maya Angelou puts it this way. She said, don't pick it up and you won't have to put it down. She meant if you don't pick up their praises, you won't have to put down their condemnations. Shake the dust off your feet. How dare you sit in here with a tear running down your face? Shake the dust off your feet. Intimidated and broken by things you can't control, shake the dust off your feet. I command every man and woman under the sound of my voice, nay, even myself, to sit up in that chair and square up your shoulders. Lift your head back up and tell the impending dawn. Tell the coming of the darkness. You may be 1,000 times darker than I have ever seen in my life, but I will not be intimidated by you. For there is a God. There is still a God in the city of New York. I can't get no help in here. There is still a God in the city of New York. And God overcomes. God overcomes when the children of Israel mark a cross on dry ground. And Moses stands on the far side of his deliverance and declares he's a man of war because God overcomes. God overcomes when the sword of Jabin had not defeated Sisera. And Deborah gets up and sings her hymn, Praise Ye the Lord, because God overcomes. God overcomes when a boy is found in the fields of Bethlehem and a crown is put on his head and the oil is run down his beard and he is made king though he is still a kid because God overcomes. Job said the morning star sang a song of deliverance on the first day of the dawn of creation because God overcomes. God overcomes when a child is born in Bethlehem, and Herod could not kill him, and sinners could not resist him, and Satan could not tempt him, and death could not destroy him, and the grave could not hold him, because God overcomes.